You're the lighthouse keeper who decides which ships make it home and which ones feed the rocks. This is you. Storm night, the worst the coast has seen in a decade. Wind screaming through the lantern room like something alive and furious, rain hitting the glass sideways like buckshot. Below you, half a mile out, a merchant ship full of cargo and souls is feeling its way through the dark, trusting the one light on this whole black coast to tell it where the rocks are. That light is yours. Your hand is on the shutter. And tonight, for the right price, the light is going to lie. Welcome to the edge of the world, where the difference between a safe harbor and a graveyard is one man, one flame, and a conscience he sold a long time ago. Rewind. You took this job because it was the end of the line, the place men go when they've got nowhere left to be. A government appointment, a stone tower on a fang of rock 30 miles from the nearest town, a salary that barely buys lamp oil and loneliness. Just you and the keeper before you, an old man with shaking hands, who taught you the light and then, the night before he rode away for good, taught you something else. He took you down to the cove on the lee side and showed you the bones, the ribs of a dozen wrecked ships rotting in the shallows, and the locals who came at low tide to pick them clean. The light keeps the honest ships off the rocks, he said. But the rocks don't care about honest. That's when you learn the rules. Rule 1. A lighthouse can save a ship or kill it with the exact same flame. The only variable is where you point it. Rule 2. The men on the mainland, the salvagers, the merchants, the customs men, already know this, and they've been waiting for a keeper with a flexible spine. Rule 3. The one that lights up your whole rotten future. Out here, you are not the servant of the sea. You are its judge. Stage 1. The first wreck isn't yours. A real one. An honest storm. A ship that just had bad luck on the rocks before dawn. By the time you row out, the crew is gone and the cargo is bobbing in the surf. Crates of wine, bolts of cloth, a strongbox. You're supposed to report it, log it, hand it to the customs men who'll skim it, and leave you nothing. Instead, you fill your boat first and report it light. Nobody questions the keeper. The keeper is the only witness, the only authority, the only living soul for 30 miles. And as you dry the wine bottles in your tower that night, you understand something that changes everything. Out here, the truth is whatever the man with the only logbook writes down. The lesson settles in like fog. When you're the only witness, you don't report reality, you author it. Stage 2. One lucky wreck a year won't make you rich. You need to stop waiting on the weather and start scheduling it. So on the next bad night, with a fat merchantman crawling along the coast, you do the unthinkable. You don't put the light out, because a dark coast makes captains careful. You move it. You rig a second lantern, a false light, and you walk it along the cliff at the pace of a safe passage beacon, luring the ship to read the rocks as the channel. The captain steers toward the only light he can see, trusting it the way men trust the one thing that's supposed to never lie. The hull opens on the reef like a tin can. By morning, the cove is full of cargo, and you're the first and only man there. You didn't pray for a wreck. You built one out of false hope and a swinging lamp. And the lesson tastes like salt and copper. The most dangerous light in the world isn't the one that's out. It's the one that lies while looking honest. Stage 3. The locals figure it out. The wreckers who pick the cove clean realize the keeper is making the wrecks, not just finding them, and they want their cut, or they'll talk. A threat. But you don't fight a mob of desperate coastmen, you organize them. You offer them a deal. You make the wrecks, they do the dangerous salvage, everybody eats. And the man who controls the light controls the schedule, so nobody works without your say. You turn a blackmailing rebel into your own crew, bound to you because you're the only one who can summon the harvest. The man who tried to extort you becomes your foreman, grateful for the steady work. You learn the cold arithmetic of leadership. Don't crush the people who threaten you. Put them on payroll and let the work bind their mouths shut. Stage 4. Now you stop being a wrecker and start being a businessman. Because you realize the cargo in the cove is small money next to the real trade, selling the coast itself. Honest captains and the merchants who insure them are terrified of this stretch of rocks, so you start selling safe passage. For a fee paid quietly on the mainland, a ship gets the true light and a clear run through the channel. For no fee, a ship gets the dark, the fog, and whatever the rocks decide. You're not even a pirate anymore. You're a toll collector on the ocean, and the toll is whatever a captain's life is worth to him. The same flame that takes a ship that didn't pay guides home the one that did. And you carve the rule into the salt-crusted glass. Stop selling the cargo on the ship. Sell the ship the right to keep it. Stage 5. The reach gets longer. A shipping magnate on the mainland, a man who owns half the harbor, figures out that the wrecks on this coast aren't bad luck. They're a market. And instead of exposing you, he wants to use you. He's got rivals whose ships pass your rocks. He pays you handsomely to make sure certain vessels, competitors, witnesses, an inspector coming to look at his books, never reach port. You become the silent weapon of the powerful, the storm they can aim, the accident they can order from 30 miles away with deniable hands. You don't just feed the rocks the unlucky now, you feed them the inconvenient, the men the powerful need gone, and the sea takes the blame every time. And the lesson lands heavy as an anchor. The perfect murder isn't the one nobody solves. It's the one nobody even calls a murder. Stage 6. There's a weakness, though. You're one tower, one light, one coast. A ship can choose a longer route, a rival keeper down the shore can offer honest passage, and your monopoly leaks. So you expand the dark. You get your own men appointed to the lighthouses up and down the coast. A cousin here, a bought man there, until every beacon for 100 miles answers, in the end to you. Now there is no honest light on this whole stretch of sea. A captain can pay you or take his chances in a darkness you own end to end. You've turned the entire coastline into a single toll road with 1,000 rocks for a fence, and the rule goes in like a nail into a coffin lid. Don't own the one light. Own every light so there's no honest one left to run to. Stage 7. Then the real threat. The future itself. Talk of a new kind of beacon. Automated, government-run, charted and cross-checked, lights that can't be moved, and logs that can't be authored by the man on the rock. That would end the whole trade. So you do what you've always done. You get ahead of the light instead of under it. You become the man who consults on the new system, who surveys the coast for the very engineers sent to fix it, who maps the rocks for the official charts. And you make sure the charts are subtly, fatally wrong, in exactly the places only you know are deadly, so that even the honest new lights guide ships onto reefs that aren't supposed to be there. You don't fight progress. You poison its map and sign it as an expert. And the lesson burns coldest of all. When they build a system to replace you, become the man who builds the system, and leave your fingerprints where no one will think to look. And one clear night you stand in the lantern room, the great flame steady and obedient at your back, and you understand you've made it. This is the peak. There is not a ship that passes this coast, not a cargo that reaches a warehouse, not a captain who sleeps easy without your leave. The shipping magnate who once tried to use you now waits on your word. The customs men log what you tell them. The sea itself feels like an extension of your hand, taking who you point at and sparing who you're paid to spare. You came to the end of the world as a broken man with nowhere to go, and you turned a stone tower and a single flame into a kingdom that stretches as far as the light reaches. You learned what no admiral ever learns. The ocean was never the master out here. The man who controls what the dark looks like is. Here's where it founders, and it founders from the inside. Because a man who's been the judge of the sea for so long starts to believe the sea will never judge him, and that's the exact man who stops respecting the water. You get careless. You stop rowing out yourself, stop reading the weather in your bones, stop covering your tracks, because you've come to believe there's no one left who dare follow them. You keep a log, a real one, the true ledger of every false light and every paid wreck, and every name the magnate ordered fed to the rocks, because you've stopped seeing it as a noose and started seeing it as a monument. You spent a lifetime learning that the sea drowns the careless and forgot you were ever subject to it. The keeper who stops fearing the dark always forgets that the dark was the only thing keeping him safe. The fall comes from the apprentice. The mainland sent you a young assistant keeper years back, quiet and quick, and you trained him because he reminded you of yourself at the foot of that old man in the cove. You taught him the light, the false lantern, the art of authoring the log. What you didn't teach him was patience, because you didn't think he had the nerve to wait. He did. He's been keeping his own record, and he's made a deal with the new government engineers. Turn in the keeper, inherit the tower, run the trade clean enough to never get caught. He doesn't have to expose your whole empire. He just has to hand over the one true log and let the rocks you fed do the rest. Every keeper you train learns exactly where the bodies went down. So now, it's tonight, the climax. The worst storm in a decade is howling, and there's a ship out there in the dark. But this time, it's not a mark. It's the cutter carrying the inspectors, the magnate turning state's witness to save his own neck, and your own apprentice. All of them coming for the tower, trusting your light to bring them safe through the rocks one last time. Your hand is on the shutter. You can bring them home, or you can do what you've always done. Two choices, and the storm doesn't care which. Door 1, you light the channel true. You let them land. You face the log, the inspectors, the apprentice's testimony, and you trade everything you know, every name, every paid wreck, the magnate's whole rotten empire, for your own miserable survival. A broken old keeper in a cell on the mainland, the man who judged the sea now waiting to be judged. You live. You just stop being the light. Door 2. You swing the lantern one final time. You feed the cutter to the rocks the way you fed 100 ships, drown the inspectors and the witness and the boy who'd replace you, and let the sea take the evidence the way it's always taken your sins. And then you're alone again at the end of the world, king of a coast nobody will ever prove was a kingdom, listening to the rocks digest the last men who knew your name. You keep the dark, you just have to live in it. The true light or the last wreck. The cell or the crown of bones. The cutter's lamp is rising and falling out there in the black, trusting you, getting closer, and the shutter is cold and heavy under your hand. You make the call. That's a wrap for today. I'll be dropping more stories like this soon. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the next one.